Baby steps?
It means setting small, reasonable goals for yourself, one day at a time. One tiny step at a time.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
Oh boy. Baby steps.
Hello, my name is Jay, and for this episode, I'm actually going to talk about something that I didn't originally plan to do, but it's going to be about something that I did this past weekend. And it's something that I've been thinking way too much about, and maybe if I talk about it, I don't got to think about it anymore. So this is going to be kind of a story time episode. We'll see what happens with it. But let me just get right into it. So, this past Sunday, there was a group event that I found online that I thought about going to. And it was a book club. It's a book club that isn't really, it's not like a traditional book club where people are assigned a book, you read the book, people come together, and they talk about that one book they all read. This was more of a just, you talk about whatever book you're reading. You bring any book with you, you talk about that. Then there's a quiet period in the middle where you just read out of your book a little bit. And then at the end, you talk some more. This was something that I originally planned to do back in like March or April, and I think I've actually talked about it in a prior episode that I wanted to do one of these book club things, and I just never did it. And I thought I was actually going to go to one a few weeks earlier, but then I think I chickened out. I definitely chickened out. That's what happened. But anyway, so what happened on this Sunday is I was constantly going back and forth in my head. Do I go? Do I not go? I was kind of getting stuff in order and ready just in case I did decide to go. So it seemed like I was pretty set on doing it. And I kept thinking over and over again, you gotta go. You just gotta go. If you don't go, all this prep you just did was for nothing and you're gonna feel really bad and you're just gonna think about this in all the wrong ways for like the next day. And you're just gonna be like, why didn't I go to that thing? I was so close to going to it and then I backed out. There was like maybe 1 hour before the event started, and I was still thinking, do I go to this? Do I not go to this? I was like pacing, still thinking about this. I was fully dressed. I was ready to go. I had a game plan. I knew what I wanted to do, and it just got to the point of, can I commit? Well, I think about 30 minutes before the event started, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna call an Uber. I'm just gonna do it now. And as soon as I hit that Uber button, I'm like, I can't back out now. I just ordered an Uber. I can't back out. Now it's a done deal. I mean, I could have canceled the Uber, but I didn't want to take the easy way route. The easy way route. No, easy way out. I didn't want to do that. So, here's how the rest of that day went, and it does start with the Uber ride. Get in the Uber guy, a little bit chatty, which is fine. I don't mind that. I've had a couple of those before, and what usually happens is they chat a little bit, I try to keep up with them, and eventually the conversation just fizzles out. And it doesn't pick back up until usually I have something to say, and it's just quiet for the rest of the ride. There were a couple of times where we talked throughout the ride, but not that often, so it wasn't too bad, but I'm usually used to just being in Ubers where nobody's saying anything, which I'm totally fine with. I mean, I'm always nice when I enter. I just say hello, and then when we leave and part ways, we're just like, oh, have a good day, have a good night. That's all we need to say. And I'm totally fine with that. But yeah, no, we should chat a little bit for like a few minutes in the first part of the ride. I think it was like a 15, 17-minute ride, something like that. Then there's silence for a while, and I'm starting to sweat. And I don't think I'm sweating because I'm warm. I'm pretty sure I'm sweating because I'm friggin' nervous about this book club thing that honestly I shouldn't even be going to. Like even though I've been trying to read books this year, I am not much of a reader. I am not going to be able to have the kind of discussions that I think everyone else there is going to be able to have. So I'm just really worried. And I'm thinking that the whole time, and I'm pretty sure that is why I'm sweating. So at one point in the middle of the ride, I just say, "Hey, can you turn the air on back here so I can cool down a little bit? I'm really sweaty." And then he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I get really sweaty too ever since COVID." And then we just talked about COVID for like a minute or two. That was in the middle of the ride. And then towards the end of the ride, he goes, "All right, we're getting to our destination." He starts speaking up again, and usually they don't do that unless I don't know, unless they're a very chatty person. And so I try to answer back. I try to, be a part of the conversation again. And I say, "Oh yeah, wow, this is a nice looking place, and this is a place I've never been to before." This guy has. I never have. Like as soon as I mentioned the place to him, he's like, "Oh yeah, really, really, really cool spot, really nice place." And yeah, it actually kind of was. It was a really, really interesting venue. The book club I wanted to go to prior was actually held at like a cafe or something like that. And I should also say that the book club I wanted to do back in March, not the same book club that I ended up doing now. Completely different. Same concept, but different people are involved and it has nothing to do with that other group. Anyway, venue was really nice. There was outdoor section with a bunch of picnic tables, just very just it almost looked like someone's backyard with like a bunch of chicken wire around it. I'm making it sound awful by saying that, but it actually looks pretty cool. It was kind of nice looking. And then the indoors just kind of looked like a diner a little bit, but like a bar diner hybrid. I'm doing a really bad job at explaining this. But this kind of venue, there were no just traditional tables, like a waiter kind of sits you down and all this stuff. This really is more of like a bar, but you don't really have to drink there. Things are laid out like it's all picnic tables, inside and outside. It's all picnic tables. That's how it is. But I thought it was nice. I thought it was okay. Now I'm going to take you step by step through what happened while I was there. And it's not that bad, but I'm certainly thinking of it in a way that's way worse than it actually was. So let me just do the play by play. Get out of the Uber. Never been to this place before. Don't really know what I'm doing. I'm kind of in this like foggy mode where I'm like, okay, don't feel lost right now. Power through this. Take a deep breath. Try to, look around, keep track of your surroundings. You'll be fine. You will get through this. I'm doing all this and thinking all this in like 2 seconds before I just walk up to two people on the side and I just ask them, "Hey, are you guys here for the book club? Do you know anything about a book club?" And they're like, no, I don't know anything about this." I thought they were like waiting because they didn't know if anybody had shown up yet. Because it was supposed to start at like 4 p.m. and I got there like 3 till. And part of me was thinking, are people going to show up late? Is nobody here yet? I knew one guy was there because he posted on the group page that he was early and he was sitting outside. The host said, "Hey, it's actually pretty nice out today. It's not too bad. Why don't we all sit outside?" So I figured everybody was going to be outside, but there's just the one guy there. And I should also say, and this has a big thing to do with failure, is that I'm pretty sure I set myself up for failure way too early, even before I got to the event. This is what happened. On the group page, after I ordered that Uber, after I'm like, okay, I've now talked myself into going to this event. The first thing I did after I ordered that Uber, I go to the group page and I type in a little thing for everybody that's attending to see if they decide to see it, if they decide to read it. It was me just saying like, I'm an awkward guy. I don't read that often. I'm open to recommendations. If you see me, just say hi to me. That'll be helpful to me. And I tell them what I'm wearing. And I kind of regret doing that. I do and I don't. I do because it was just so pathetic to do something like that, especially since I could tell after a little bit while I was there, I'm not the only awkward person there. So for me to sort of almost put myself out there in a way where it's like, hey guys, I'm going to be the most awkward person there. Please pay attention to me. It was very strange. It's very pathetic. But it did result in a couple of people saying hi to me, only 2 people, but still, it happened. And I will get to those 2 people very shortly. Or at least one of them. And then another one later on. All right. I am just going down my notes here that are very all over the place. So we'll see if I actually get to talk about all this. I hope I do. Because I don't really want to not talk about anything. I wrote all this down beforehand for a reason so I could talk about it all. And I lost my place, so what the heck am I going to talk about now? Oh, okay, sure. So a little more about this book club, and then we'll talk about how the rest of the day went. Oh wait, no, I already said the part that I was about to say, which is that it's a little bit of reading and a little bit of talking. So there's parts of it where you're just not talking to each other at all. The group back in March was mostly not talking, with a little bit of talking in the beginning and a little bit of talking at the end. But it was mostly not talking. This one, mostly talking, a little bit of reading in the middle. So not quite what I wanted, but it was similar enough that I'm like, all right, let me give it a shot. Okay, so after passing those 2 people that didn't know what I was talking about, I'm walking down to the front. I see a hostess out there. I see someone that I can ask and say, is there a book club? And of course, I see the one guy on the bench outside by himself. And I have a choice to make. Where it's like, okay, I know this guy 100% is here for the book club. He said in the little note what table number he would be at. That guy is sitting at that table number that was posted, so I know that guy's here for the book club. So I have a choice to make. I can go sit down right in front of that guy, right next to that guy, probably in front of that guy, because it'd be weird if we're the only 2 there and I sit right next to him. They're picnic tables, so it feels better to sit across, I think. I could go sit down at that table. Or I can just ask the hostess and say, is there a book club going on right now? I know there is. I know there's a book club, but I don't know where they are. So it might be better to ask, where's the book club? But I wanted to say it in a way where it's like, don't really know what I'm doing here, but can you help me out a little bit? I don't know why I wanted to say it that way, but I did. Anyway, and I'm going to be saying anyway a lot because I keep just losing track of what I want to say. I'm not even reading my notes. I should be. They're there to help me, but I'm not even reading them. I thought this was going to go a little more smoothly because of these notes, but now I'm just kind of all over the place. Okay, let me get back on track here. I don't go to the guy sitting down. I go to the hostess, and I just ask her, is there a book club going on here? She says, oh, yeah, okay, there's a book club here. And she turns around, points right behind her, right at the window, right in the corner, inside, where I see a bunch of people at a picnic table. And I'm like, okay, I know where to go now. I know where the people are. And as I'm walking away from the hostess, there's someone right behind me that's also there for the book club. And I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, great. So I'm really not as early as I thought it was. There are definitely more people all showing up at this time. And of course, there's people inside as well. And there's the one guy on the bench. I feel bad for him because two people showed up right then and there, knew about the book club, maybe knew about the guy out there. I knew about the guy out there, but we both decided to go inside. At this point, I open the door and I hold it up. Oh my gosh, I'm tripping over my own words. I hold the door open. I let the person that showed up behind me go in first. Okay? And then I follow after her. And then we go to those tables. Because she's in front of me, and this is important. I will come back to it later. Hopefully I don't forget, but this is important that she went first and I went second. She goes in. She goes all the way to the back. Sits down. Her back is against the wall or pretty close to it, and she's got a nice view of the rest of the place inside there. And I go, and I sit right across from her, or pretty close to right across from her. We both introduce herself. We both introduce herself? Is that what I said? She introduces herself, and then I introduce myself. I just say, hello, my name is Jay, because that's how I start every conversation. And a few seconds go by, as I've sat down, as I planted myself, I immediately just kind of draw my eyes towards the menu on the table, because I don't really know where else to look at in that moment. A few seconds go by. Somebody sitting about 2 seats down from me on my left pokes their head out and says, Jay, you're Jay? The Jay who wrote that note? I know exactly what she's talking about. The next few seconds after that are a complete blur. I don't even remember what I said to her. I don't even remember if I said anything at all to her. I just remember it being a very awkward exchange. Which stinks, because the whole point of posting that note on there was so people could say hi to me, so people could acknowledge me, so people could be the one to, say the first word so I didn't have to. And I blew it. And the thing that really sucked about it is she's kind of cute. No, actually, she was cute. I think, honestly, that whole thing was a blur. Maybe she wasn't. I don't know. All I remember about the rest of it was I'm sitting there, looking at that menu, not looking anywhere else. And I just feel incredibly warm. Like I'm dressed for the cold, and it is warm, warm, warm inside that place. I just keep looking outside the window, looking at that one guy sitting by himself at the picnic tables. But wait, he's not anymore. Every time I look out the window, more people are showing up, more people are going right to the tables. And I look at that window like every 10 seconds. I just turn my head to look out. I see another person show up. I'm in such a weird, kind of fidgety, uncomfortable mode right then and there that I just kind of say, not really to anyone or everyone, but I just blurt out, I'm kind of sweaty. I'm going to go outside. I just say that. And then the girl that came in with me, or the girl that came in behind me, but then she came in before me because I held the door open. She's like, yeah, I'm going to go out too. So we both just leave. And part of me does regret doing that. I mean, I will say I was very uncomfortable being inside there. I was thinking that if I'm stuck in this one spot for the next 2 hours, I'm going to freak out because I already was having a mini panic attack. But yeah, I had to get out of there. I really had to get out of there. I was freaking out. So I get out there. The person that was there follows behind me. And as we're walking over to the table where there's now maybe 6, 7 people there, I'm not sure. Me and the girl at different times just kind of say, yeah, the group here is split in two. There's one inside. We got one out here now. And then I just plant myself on an open seat. And I'm there for the rest of the night. I don't budge at all. I'm just stuck in that one area, which is something that I'm not crazy about. Something that I do regret. It was fine in the moment. I didn't think how the rest of the night was going to go. And honestly, what I should have done and hopefully I'll say it now because I'll probably forget later. I should have bailed after an hour. I was there for 2 hours. I should not have been there for 2 hours. In fact, I will say I should have probably ordered an Uber right after we were done with the quiet reading part. I really should have done that. And the Uber came quick, by the way. When I ordered that Uber, I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself. When I ordered that Uber, it came in like less than 5 minutes or something like that. Anyway, I just how the rest of the day went after I sat down on the picnic table. More people show up. I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to anybody that was going inside. I was just staring forward the entire time. I was not looking around at all. A couple people show up. They sit down next to me. A couple people sit actually not across from me, but across from the people next to me, which is really sad because nobody sat across from me. Jeez. I mean, I think I did actually sit down across from somebody, but then they like moved over a little bit. So it's like, okay, well now I'm not sitting across from anybody. And it was like that for most of the night where I'm like, I'm just not sitting across anybody, am I? Hmm. All right, that's fine, I guess. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to say anyway a lot. You're going to hear it more, I'm sure. I'm not going to say, I was about to say it again. I'm not going to say it. A few minutes go by. There's not really a lot of talking going on with me or even the people that sat down next to me on my right. There were people on my left. When I sat down, there were already a bunch of people on my left, nobody on my right. People like all the spaces filled up on my right. There's a nice little section at the end there full of like four other people. I don't think any of us are really saying anything. I don't think any of us even say our names. Maybe they do. I honestly don't even remember. Like, it'd be dishonest of me to say that there were moments during that event where I blacked out. I didn't. It's more of just trying to remember stuff. It feels like a blackout. I know I didn't actually black out. There's just a lot of gaps there. And I think it's because there were moments that I either didn't want to remember or thought were too unimportant to remember. Ooh, I almost said the A word again. I almost said the A word again. It's gonna happen. If I say it again, I say it again. I just look to the person sitting on my right, look at her book, and I just say, "Hey, what are you reading?" And that starts off a chain. A chain reaction kind of comes from that, which I thought was kind of cool. Where I ask her what she's reading, she talks a little bit about it. It's a book that has a movie actually, and I say, "Oh, that's this book. It's there's a movie out based on this book right now," and we kind of get into that little bit of a conversation where I am saying something that I at least know about the book, or just saying something that at least shows that I'm somewhat engaged in what is being talked about. She's done describing her book, and then it's this kind of like gesture over to me, and then I see somebody across from her that's looking at me, and I'm like, oh, you can go next if you want, go for it. So then it just becomes this like rotation where there's just, she goes, then I go, then somebody else went after me. And then we just kind of do that for a little bit for like the next 30 minutes or so, just talking about different stuff. We're talking about the books that we plan on reading. And then the conversation kind of, spins around from there where you can tell there's a little bit of awkwardness. A lot of us don't really know what to do. I would say I don't know if I was the most out of place. I eventually did become the most out of place. I will get to that when I get to that. But I can tell there's one guy there in particular that is really really trying to lead the pack, really trying to make sure that we're all being talkative. And there's actually one guy in the corner I didn't even know about because he was hidden by the person sitting right next to me. A guy in his 70s who was just eating a salad that was there as part of the book club. He certainly was. He was reading something on like a tablet or a phone or whatever. I could barely hear him. I could barely hear him talk. I don't even think I heard a single word he said. And I'm not trying to be mean or rude or anything like that. Like I'm a very soft-spoken person when I'm around other people. I totally get it. I totally understand it. But it was just this very unusual. I think he kind of got stuck in the same situation that I did, which is we sat at a seat and we felt too weird to move. We're like, we're here. I guess we're just stuck here for the rest of the night. The guy seems sweet, honestly. Like the few things that I mean, I didn't hear him say anything, but I heard the people around me repeat things that he said. He seemed like a sweet guy, you know, and nothing against him. But this isn't really about him, and I'm not trying to be a jerk. It's not about him. He seemed like a sweet guy. Okay, I don't have anything against him, like I already said. But but there is that one guy that is trying to lead the pack. You know, once we kind of there's like this quiet period, nobody's saying anything. He's like, okay, well, let's start making small talk. He doesn't say that, but that's basically what he says. He's like, okay, so who wants to say what they do for a living? What's their job or something? He does that. He says something like that. And the one sitting next to me is like, no, 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 we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. She does not want to do that. I don't know if it's because she doesn't want to talk about her job, which I think she eventually ends up talking about anyway. But I think it's more of just she didn't want to do the small talk thing, which I get. Small talk really sucks. It really, really sucks because it's almost never interesting, at least from my point of view. I know I'm bad at small talk, so it doesn't really make sense for me to say that it's not interesting, but maybe it's because it's not interesting that I'm so bad at it, or the other way around. It's the thing that's just so frustrating about small talk is just, oh my god, it's like you're doing it just to say something so that it's not quiet. That's what small talk feels like. You're not really asking things you care about. You're just asking things to make sure that there's not an awkward, quiet moment. It doesn't feel necessary. It just feels like a little, oh, I gotta do something real quick. So let me pull this out. I'm not a fan. But again, I suck at talking to people, so that's probably the real reason why I'm not a fan. Almost said the A word again. I can just say it. It doesn't matter if I... Anyway. There we go. Good. Got it out of the way. But I'm still probably going to say it again. So we don't talk about our jobs, which is a relief because I don't have one still. Working on it. I'm really actually working on it. I'm seriously working on and it's sad to say because people keep telling me to like, no, don't. They're not saying don't focus on the voice acting thing. They're being nice about it. They're being cute about it. They're entertaining me. The notion that I can't actually land a job, and I hope I do. But they're like, you should look elsewhere. You will get there eventually, sure, but maybe have like a night job or go work at like a supermarket or something. Which, yeah, is good advice. I should be doing that, but my sights aren't set at that. I really want to get one of these voice acting gigs so bad. I'm doing more auditioning. I really want to land one. It's not going to happen by the end of the year, I don't think, and that's totally fine. But I'm doing auditioning again. And I have gone off track again. Somewhat. Actually, no. I have not, because the voice acting thing actually does tie into this. We do not talk about jobs. The guy says, okay, well, what do you guys do for fun or something? And nobody wants to say anything. And I'm just like, I'll go first. I'll say what I like to do for fun. Then the host comes around, starts saying like, okay, thank you all for being here, guys. We're going to start doing the reading part in a few minutes, so you can keep keep chatting amongst yourselves or keep chatting with people. And then comes back to us, and the guy's like, okay, what were you going to say? And I'm like, what was the question? You know, I'm sort of being funny, but not really. I do this thing where sometimes I'll just be like, huh, what? Can you say that again? Not necessarily because I don't know what they said, but because I need just a little extra time to kind of get all my words and sentences and thoughts in order. So the guy says it again, like, what do you do for fun? And I say, well, this kind of ties into the whole work thing, which, yeah, it does, but also not really. I like doing voice acting. I like doing voices. You know, I've been taking classes this year, and that's something that I really enjoy. The reason I say that, even though that's, you know, it almost feels like it doesn't really answer the question, because I'm like, it's like, what do you do for fun? Oh, I want to be a voice actor. That's basically what I was saying. That's what I do for fun. I think about doing something that I'm not really doing right now. It better answer than just saying like, oh, I watch movies, I play video games or something, which probably would have been a better answer, even though I don't really play video games that much anymore, which kind of bums me out because I have my pile of games just keeps stacking up. Like there's stuff that I bought that came out this year that I still haven't got to. Yeah. Oh well, that's okay. It's not about that. I'm really trying not to get off track, but it just keeps happening. I'm sorry, and I've already passed all this stuff in the notes, so I have to scroll down and try to get myself caught up with the notes and with my thoughts. We talked about fun. I don't even know where that is in my notes. Oh, okay. No, I'm way past this part. Okay, I'm almost there. Give me a few seconds. Hold on. Almost there. And I did forget to talk about this part. But I will come back to that eventually. Or you know what? I don't. Oh, well, now that I've already said it, I have to talk about it. Okay. I'll talk about the fun stuff and then I'll get back to that thing. I'll finish what we're talking about, the fun stuff. Somebody says they really like doing music, and then, you know, I forget what the other people said, which is bad. But again, I was having these little spacey out moments that was happening. But yeah, it goes from talking about what do we do for fun to just traveling. Like, have we done any traveling? Do we like to travel? That kind of stuff. I don't really have anything to say. And it's at this point where I'm starting to feel like fatigue, where I'm feeling like my social battery is already running pretty close to zero. I just I just keep spacing out, and I don't want to do that. I want to be a part of the conversation. I want to be there amongst these people and actually feel like I'm socializing. But I'm running out of juice very quickly. And when it comes to my turn, we're just going around talking about traveling. When it gets to my turn, I end up being the last person to talk about traveling. I'm like, I don't really travel. I haven't really done that much traveling apart from like family vacations and stuff like that. Never really, never really left my hometown. Always just kind of been here. So let me get to the thing that I was going to say and that I forgot to say, but I'm going to say it again. We all wrote down name tags. What? We all got passed out these stickers and a Sharpie. Wrote down our name on it. Got a name tag and stuck it on wherever we wanted to stick it on. I guess most people just stuck it on their shirts. Great. I guess we were all sitting down, so you couldn't really see the name tags anyway. So I thought, what would be a little better than that? Let me just stick it on my hat so everybody can see it and everybody will know my name. Somebody thought it was amusing. Like, look at his tag or something. I'm like, what? I thought it was a good spot. It was a cute little interaction, I thought. But yeah, after a while, I just kind of got embarrassed by the tag being there. I'm like, I feel like, even though this makes sense to me, and yeah, I am doing it somewhat for funny reasons, I got to a certain point in the night where I'm like, well, now I'm just embarrassed by it. I don't feel like I live up to the thing that I was trying to do by sticking this on my head. let me get back to the traveling thing. So we're done talking about the travel. This is getting really, really boring, all this crap that I'm talking about, because I don't really want to talk about what I'm talking about right now. I kind of want to speed this up and just get to what the whole point of all this was. This is going way longer than I even thought that it was going to go, because I just keep talking about nothing. Ugh, okay, let me try to speed this along. Okay, so we're done with the traveling. One of the persons says like, okay, let's each read like a couple of sentences out of our book. And I say something that I probably shouldn't have said, which is like that sounds like the worst version of popcorn reading ever. Why would I say something like that? If I'm going to be amongst people, don't be negative. I mean, it's not good to be fakey, but I shouldn't put people's ideas and words down, because that's what I felt like I was doing, and I didn't even realize this is what I sounded like, or that's what I did until a little bit after I did it. So we do that. We go around, reread a couple of, things out of our book. I end up going last. Actually, what ends up happening is the host comes up. He says, all right, we're going to start reading. Everyone be quiet now. We're going to start reading. One person still hasn't read their 2 sentences yet, so they do that very quickly, very softly, and then it's my turn. And I don't want to go because everybody is already quiet. Everybody's already reading. But the one guy is trying to lead the pack. Is all right, so best for last. We saved the voice actor for last. And I'm just like, oh my God. And so I just read it very quickly. I read more than 2 sentences. I just read a whole paragraph. And I read it a little bit louder than I should be reading because everyone's quiet. It's very quiet. I'm the loudest thing there right now. And then as soon as I'm done, I'm like, okay, well, that was a little more than 2 sentences. And then it just gets quiet for like the next 40 minutes. It's just quiet. We're just reading, apart from the music that's blasting out there, but it's quiet. And even this part was a little bit uncomfortable for me because the book that I chose was a collection of short stories. I thought this will be simple. Maybe I can read a couple of short stories in this amount of time and I can talk about 2, maybe 3, if I'm quick enough, short stories. I'll actually have some fuel for the last part of this book club. That's what I thought. Once I started reading one of the short stories, I'm like, I don't understand this at all. This was, who's the author? Harlan Ellison, I think is his name. He has one pretty famous short story, which I wish I wrote down in my notes, but I'm going to look it up right now in this very instance. And I don't want there to be much dead air, so I am just going to look it up and tell you that his famous short story is I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, which I first found out through the video game. There's a video game that exists of it, same title. Working backwards, I ended up finding out, oh, it's a book. It's not a book, actually. It's a short story, but it's in a collection of short stories. It's in a book that's a collection of short stories, which is what I had. And I got that book just for the one short story. And I'm like, I love the title, so I'm probably going to love the story, right? No. I read, I think, one page, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm reading. Let me try another short story. So that's what I do. I try another short story, and I'm reading that one, and I'm like, I still don't know what I'm reading. The only thing I remember from any of the stuff that I did read was there's a character called like the TikTok Man or something like that. Let me go down to my notes. Oh my gosh. I'm so far away from all my... There we go. TikTok Man. Yes. And I just keep seeing that name popping up over and over again throughout the story that I'm reading. And so I'm like, well, I guess that's what I'm going to talk about. When we're done reading, I'm just going to say, there's a guy in here called the TikTok Man. That's it. That's all the fuel I got. I'm kind of panicking at that moment. I'm like, I have nothing to talk about. This is really not good. Quiet period ends. We're all allowed to go back, mingling and talking to each other, and immediately what I notice, people on my left, people on my right, they got their groups, they're chatting, they're talking with each other. I'm not being acknowledged from either side. I talked a little bit with the one who was sitting on my left before we did the quiet reading time. She basically just looked over to me. It's like, "Oh, what are you reading? What's all this stuff that you have here?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is a collection of short stories. I'm trying to get back into reading this year, and I realized that I tend to have a better, I do better reading short stories than like big novels." And I picked out this particular book because of this one short story, which was the mouth scream. I already forgot the title of it, but you know what I mean. I say that. The host also, when he came around earlier, was like, "Oh yeah, I know that book," and then he says the title of the short story, and I'm like, "Well, that's what I'm gonna read." So I did talk a little bit with the one sitting next to me on the left side beforehand, and right after the quiet reading period, she is the first one to say something to me. And the only reason she says something to me is because her friend, it's not really her friend, she just never met her before, but she got along with her swimmingly. The one who was sitting across from her, they were talking a lot. She gets up, I think she goes to the bathroom or something, so the one sitting right next to me just kind of turns to me and say, "Oh, how was your reading? How was your short story?" And I'm honest with her. I say, "I don't know what I just read. I was very confused." And that's kind of all I had to say about it. And then I just said, "Well, what were you reading?" She's like, "Oh, I wasn't reading anything. I was listening to an audiobook." Then we talk about audiobooks for like a couple of minutes. And it's this thing where I'm like, you know, I've never actually listened to an audiobook. I've always wanted to. And the kind of audiobooks I've actually really wanted to are the dramatized audiobooks, which are the ones where you have different people voicing different characters in the book, and there's sound effects, there's ambiance, there's a lot of personality and atmosphere in it. It's not just one person reading everything. It's like a radio play almost, the way that the audiobook is presented, or those type of audiobooks are presented. And we were talking a little bit about that, and she's like, "Oh yeah, no, you should like check out the Redfall series or something like that, or Redwall. It's either Redwall or Redfall. I think it's Redwall. Let me actually double check real quick. This is actually a book series that I think is over and done with. Children book series that I think started in the 80s. Actually, I don't think. I just looked it up. It did start in the 80s. And then it ended like over 10 years ago or something like that. But yeah, Redwall is the correct title. She was talking to me about that. She said her daughter really likes it, and I should check it out. The recommended age group for this is 8 to 12, so I don't know what that says about what she thinks of me. But honestly, I probably would be into this series because I don't know. I used to like children's books. There were a couple of books that I liked when I was younger, and I feel like my reading level hasn't really evolved much past a certain age, probably past 12, honestly. So maybe we'll check out one. I don't know. If they are dramatized audiobooks, that'd be really fun to check out, honestly. And that'll give me a better idea of how that works voice wise, because that's something that I would love to do. Like it with with voice acting, with audiobooks in particular, like I thought children books, simple, maybe that could be fun to do. But when I learned about dramatized audiobooks, I'm like, okay, that sounds like the way to go, because that's not just narrating the whole thing. There's actual performances there. Not to say that there's not performances when one person is reading the whole thing, but I feel like little bit more going on when there's more people that are a part of the book. But yeah, she tells me about that. She tells me about Redwall. Her friend comes back. They start chatting. And I just got nobody now. I'm all on my own. I'm on an island all on my own. The people to the left of me are all talking to each other. The people to the right of me are all talking to each other. Nobody is sitting across from me still. That spot has been blank for like a full hour, it seems like. And I'm kind of panicking. It's giving me flashbacks. It's giving me flashbacks of middle school and high school, where it's like I'm in the middle of this group of people, and I feel like I'm the only person not saying anything, and I feel really weird and really out of place, and I feel like I shouldn't be here. that wasn't the worst that I was panicking. The actual worst actually came later when the host comes around and he's just like, hey, can I sit here? He doesn't say that to me. He's saying to the people next to me. They're just like, oh, yeah, sure, nobody's there. You can sit there. He sits down. He starts talking to the two people sitting to the left of me. Wow, I really need to plan these things. It sucks because I don't edit these podcasts anymore. And there's a lot of crap in this that I should be cutting out. I said I don't swear in these podcasts. I say crap. I'll say crap. That's the highest bar that I will go. Or lowest bar, depending on how you look at it. When it comes to swearing, I don't think crap's that bad. I will say crap. I've already said it a lot. I've said it in other episodes. I'm going to stick with saying crap. And this is just kind of where the episode's going now, where I'm just so scatterbrained that I just keep saying crap over and over again. Let me get back on track. The guy sits down across from me. He's talking to the people on the left of me. People on the right, still talking on their own. Seems like they're having a good time. They're laughing. They're doing their own stuff. And I'm just kind of looking everywhere but at anybody. And I'm drinking my water. I got a water in front of me. I'm taking little sips. This is my second glass of water. I'm taking little sips, like one little sip every 3 seconds, because I really don't know what to do. This is like the thing that I do at Thanksgiving when I don't know what to say. I don't know who to talk to right now. So the only thing that I can do is just eat and drink. And it's not something I want to do, but it keeps me busy. So I'm going to do that. When the nerves really kick in, when they get real bad, that is what I do. I just constantly take sips, or I constantly just take little bites of something. Because I don't know what else to do. This is when I panic the most. Like I said, I'm on an island all on my own. Nobody's talking to me, nobody's looking at me, nobody is acknowledging me. And I just feel like I'm stuck. And I can't just get up and go around. But of course I can. Of course I can. There is nothing. The host is getting up and walking around and talking to different people. He's doing that. Heck, I kind of did that in the beginning when I just said, yeah, I'm not going to sit at this table anymore. I'm going to go outside and sit at a different table. I really wished I did that. What I could have done, and I realized that I probably shouldn't have saved this. I wrote down some stuff about like what I should have done throughout this whole thing. Ah, gosh, this episode is going way longer than I wanted to. It's going to hit an hour. I know it's going to hit an hour, and I really want to wrap this up. I do not want this to be my longest episode because it is a lot of me just saying nothing. And I'm not going to edit any of this out. I won't. I'm not going to edit a single second out. It's all going to be in. It's all going to be left in. Let me get back on track. If I can remember where I was, because I don't remember anymore. And a lot of this episode is just going to be me getting off track and then trying to get back on track. But that's how it's going. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Oh my gosh. Let me check my notes. Here we go. Here we go. This is what I'm going to talk about. Okay. I might have mentioned this before. But when conversations are happening around me, there's this thing that happens where I kind of turn my gaze towards what's happening. Or maybe it's something where it's like I just kind of show up and I'm on the outside, or eventually I get pushed to the outside of the conversation. Where I'm just looking at all these people, and the first thing that pops into my mind is, this is double dutch. There's two people. They're each holding a rope. They're swinging it around. One person jumps in. They're jumping up and down. They're a part of the action. Another person jumps in. They're jumping up and down. They're a part of the action. I'm there like, when am I going to jump in? You know, there's two people already in there. Two people holding the ropes. It looks like fun, but I'm terrified to jump in. What if I mess up? What if I step on the rope? What if I hit somebody? What if something happens that ends up becoming entirely my fault because I'm just looking at them? Two people holding the rope. Two people jumping. They're doing a great job. They got smiles on their faces. Nothing bad is happening. And the longer I look at them, the longer I realize nothing bad is happening to them. And that's not me saying, oh, I could jump in, nothing bad's going to happen. That's me saying, so much time has passed where nothing bad has happened that it would really suck if I jumped in the middle of this and I was the first thing, the first bad thing that happened to this. I get those kind of thoughts when I'm on the outs of a conversation. And that's the kind of stuff that really builds the anxiety, is being stuck in my own thoughts instead of trying to get away from them and actually be a participant in something that I want to be a part of. But I'm just too scared to jump in. So that's how I felt for like the end of that period, until the host, talking with those two people for a long time. Eventually, the conversation dies down a little bit, and then he turns his gaze to me and says, I don't remember what he says, but we start talking. He like talks something about my book, or like, how do you feel about what you read, or something like that. And then I'm just entirely honest with him. I'm like, I'm very confused. I have no idea. You said you read this book. Did you understand anything that was happening in here? He was like, oh, I didn't read the book. I read a short story in the book, and it was the mouth scream, whatever the title is again. And he's telling me all about it and all about the writing and how it was like, oh, it was published in this particular time period. It really wasn't published that long ago. I think he said in like the 60s. I think the short story actually was in the 80s. I have no idea. I really know nothing about this. And yet I have a book about it to read that I'm probably never going to read now because it was too confusing to me. He's talking a little bit about it, and I'm just trying to be a part of the conversation, and then eventually it gets to a point where I'm just telling him why I'm there. I tell him about my anxiety, which is also something that I kind of regret doing, but it's the thing where it's like, I can tell that I perked up a little bit when he acknowledged me and started talking to me, because I was hunched over, just looking at my water, playing with it, take little sips every once in a while. And as soon as he acknowledged me, I just whoop, my back straightens. And I start talking really fast at him. And I only talk really fast when I'm nervous, or if I had a lot on my mind, or both. And I'm pretty sure it was both. So, I guess so's the new anyway. Or maybe but was happening a couple of times, but I think now I'm back on so. Anyway took a break. So was now the new front man. So, we're talking a little bit. Conversation dies down. He goes back to the other two that were sitting on my left. And it is astonishing. Yes, there was a little bit of a period where it's like he can tell that I've left the conversation from him. I just have nothing left to say. And I see him just kind of looking at me for a little bit. Then he turns his gaze towards the two people sitting to the left of me and completely ingratiates himself back into that conversation seamlessly. It is incredible that people can do that. That they can move so easily from one conversation to another without missing a beat, without feeling like they're an add-on. I don't know how somebody does that, but it was incredible seeing that. And it's something that anybody else at that event wouldn't think twice about something like that. I thought way too much about something like that. But at the point that I basically just kind of shut down on him and he moved over to the two people sitting on the left of me, I went to my phone and I'm like, it's time to order an Uber. I got to get the heck out of here. I'm in panic mode. I really need to get out of here, and I probably should have ordered this Uber like 30 minutes earlier. Like I said earlier, the Uber came in about 5 minutes. I do the thing where I just kind of I'm trying to find an opening. It sort of goes back to double dutch, but not really. It's I don't like interrupting people's conversations. That is also another thing that makes it double dutch hard. And I'm going to keep calling it double dutch because I think it's actually not a bad analogy. It's to just jump in the middle of a conversation. There are times where I feel like I can actually do this, but I need that opening. I need them to just, I need that like 2 seconds of silence so that I can say something real quick. It never comes. And my Uber it's already here. I see the car waiting. I can see it out of the corner of my eye. That's the car that's going to pick me up. And because I'm just got like getting really impatient, I'm kind of moving my body. I'm inching my body a little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit out of my seat, just a little bit. And then I just say, my Uber's here. I gotta go. I get out of my seat. I kind of speed walk out of there, and a few of them just kind of wave and go, hey, bye. One of them, I think they said, unless I'm remembering this incorrectly, is, see you at the next one. And not in a sarcastic way, not in a way of putting me down or anything, in a very sincere, sweet, honest way. Where, regardless of how they saw me at that event, they probably thought, it would be cool if you came back for another one. It would be cool if you gave this another shot. That's how I thought it. I didn't think of it as like a malicious kind of, making fun of me sort of thing. That was not it at all. I thought of it as a very inviting way to just say, cool having you around. And it was somebody that I didn't even, I think I said like 3 words to this person. She was the one that said like, see you next time or whatever. She was the one that laughed at my name tag that I stuck in my hat. I think that was the only time I even spoke to her, is after she laughed, and I'm like, I thought it was a good place for it. I think that was it. She's the one that says, see you next time. That's not something I should dwell on, but that is something that I certainly still think about. It's one of those things that I still think about in sort of a positive way. And now the rest of the night doesn't even really matter. Like getting into the Uber ride, it's a typical Uber ride. It was at night, so it was pretty expensive. um, which stunk, but that's how it goes. It's like the ride down there wasn't that much money. The ride to a place is never that much. The ride back home is always like double, triple, sometimes quadruple the price that I paid the first time around, which is ridiculous, but I get it. They call it surge prices, surge hours, or something like that. I don't know. I get it. If you're driving someone when it's dark out, it's, you need kind of a safety blanket, and I guess that's extra money. I don't know. But the Uber ride's not the point. Let me kind of retrace my steps a little bit and talk to you about some of the moments where I could have done things differently. This comes back into the title of this episode, which I think I'm still going to commit to and call it Overanalyzing Failure. Well, now that I said it, I kind of have to. Let me just go back to a couple of different moments that happened earlier on and what I could have done different. And I'm going to retrace my steps all the way back to when I showed up. Okay? Number one, I did not have to talk to those 2 people there. I don't regret talking to those 2 people. I mustered up enough courage, which honestly didn't take that long to do. I think it just took like 2 seconds of being like, okay, breathe in, breathe out, and now just ask one of them. And I just asked them about the book club. They didn't know anything about it, and I moved on. It was very simple. Honestly, probably didn't need to do anything different there. Totally fine. Dang, this is going to go over an hour. That is really sad. That's okay. Again, I'm not going to edit this, so if this becomes like the longest, most boring episode, so be it. All right? Move on to the hostess. Now, again, this is this or that kind of situation. I could just go sit by that guy on the bench who I know is here. Not bench. I called it a bench a few times, I think. Guy sitting there alone at the picnic table. I could just go there and just kind of mingle with him for a little bit until other people show up. I think once they start seeing two people, they're going to come. But you know what? People started showing up around him when there was just one person, so I didn't even need to be there. Go to the hostess, ask her about the book club, and then I move on. Open the door, about to go inside, but there's someone behind me that's going to go in there. I really don't want to retell all this, and I feel like I'm about to. Let me get to the highlights. I could have just gone in the door. I didn't have to let the person go in behind me, because there was this period where I was like holding the door open for a couple of seconds, and it was this kind of thing where it's like, do I go? Do you go? Whatever. What's happening here? I could have just gone in, and I really wish I did go in, because I could have sat where she sat when she went in front of me and she sat down, her back against that wall. That wall was not fun to look at. That wall was also part of the anxiety where it's like, I like what? I like looking at open spaces. I like seeing exits. I like seeing people in the background. I like knowing there's more here than just this corner that I'm sitting at. I feel like I can breathe if I see more of an open space. So I really wish that I sat where she sat. It would have been really weird if I sat next to her. I did not want to do that, so I had to sit across from her. But if I went in there first, if I sat down first, I might have picked that seat that she picked originally. And if I did, this is what would have happened. Not only would I have had a better view of the place, a comfortable view, I could have relaxed a little bit. When I introduce myself and say, hello, my name is Jay, the person that turns her head, who looks at me and says, Jay, you posted on the thing, I would have had a better look at her. She wouldn't have had to poke her head out. She would have been like right diagonally of me. I would have had a better look at her. I maybe wouldn't have choked in that moment. And I would have been like, yeah, yep, that's me. And then kind of do the thing that I'm kind of thinking about now, which is like, I kind of regret posting that now, I could have said something like that. That would have been nice. Because then maybe I wouldn't have had to gotten up out of that seat and get out of there because I was so fidgety and nervous and panicky and sweaty. I mean, I think I would have been sweaty no matter what. I was dressed for the cold. I was not dressed for indoors, and I don't like taking off warm clothing indoors. When I'm at a restaurant, I don't like taking off beanies. I don't like taking off jackets or anything like that. I just love to leave it all on and sweat it out, I guess. But that's something I could have done differently. And I do regret that. For a couple of reasons. One, I'm actually not going to talk about because it's really weird. But I do regret that. Moving on. When I go outside. When I sit down, I don't think I say hi to anybody. I could have done that. I could have just said like, hey, how's it going? Like, oh, what are you all reading? I didn't even do that. It wasn't until the people that sat to my right came down that I decided to be like, oh, what are you reading? And I talked to the people on my right. Another thing I regret is not necessarily in that moment, but definitely after the quiet reading period when nobody was talking to me. I should have just gotten up, walked around. The host was doing that. He was getting around. He was mingling with people. I should have done the same thing. And all I could have done was just look around people's tables and just be like, I know that book. That's a cool book. How is that? Or be like, oh, that looks really interesting. What is that? That's all I had to do. I don't even have to introduce myself. My name is on my head. I don't gotta say who I am. That's another thing that I regret. I should have just gotten up. Nobody is talking to me. Nobody is paying attention to me. I can get away with this. Why didn't I do it? If I wanted to, I could have gone back to the table inside. Why not? What was stopping me other than myself? I think that's the thing. Other than basically freaking out when I first walked into that one place and then getting out of there, other than that, that was my biggest regret of the entire night. Because, like, I think I said this earlier, maybe I said this earlier on or not. First hour to like first hour 20 being there was fine. It was the last 40 minutes that really sucked. And I could have used that last 40 minutes to just walk around, to just maybe strike up a conversation with somebody else. Maybe find somebody sitting by themselves, go to them and say like, "Hey, how's it going? What are you reading? Or what did you read?" I can't do that. I'm not a smooth guy. I can't ingratiate myself into another space seamlessly like the host did. I would love to be able to do that. I can't. Maybe that's something I need to work on. I don't know. Maybe I'm not even there yet. Maybe I need to work on other things first before I get to that point. Maybe I need to work on just sustaining a conversation with one person before I worry about hopping back and forth between two different conversations. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna wrap up this episode. It is over an hour. I am sorry. There was a whole lot of nothing going on in this episode, and I really apologize for that. This really could have just been. I was gonna make a joke, but it wouldn't have worked. I'll say it anyway. It's not funny though. This just could have been an email. Not a funny joke. Not even a joke. I heard it elsewhere. It applies to stuff elsewhere. It's not even. I'm not even. I don't even want to call it an elsewhere joke because that makes it sound like I heard it from a very obscure place from over here. One little area. One little thing. You know, it's like, oh, it was an inside joke or something. Or it's like, I know this. You guys don't know it. People know it. It's been around. It's a joke that's been around. Who wrote the joke? Who cares? It's been around. It's not even really a joke. It's just a comment. But yeah, this could have been so much shorter than it actually ended up. It's so weird that this is over an hour long, and I'm really, 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 really sorry that so much of this is just me getting off track and then trying to get back on track and then just talking about nothing. I'm really sorry to the one or two people that listen to this, including me in that one or two people. I'm really sorry. Oh, man, I can tell I've been talking for a while because my throat is starting to get all scratchy and feel weird. Maybe I'm getting sick. That could be it too. It is that time of year. So let me just try to wrap this. Oh, okay. One positive thing. One positive thing that did come out of this. Maybe a couple, but there's really only one that I'm focusing on. The next day, there were a couple of items that my sister listed online that were going to be sold from my home. Big furniture items that we don't need anymore. We're just trying to get rid of it. We're trying to clear space. I ended up being in charge of those transactions. I usually would just stay in my room and not even be a part of it. But I had to be a part of it because everyone else in the household was doing something else or was busy or was in pain or just couldn't help me in any way possible. So I had to take charge. The next day and the day after, total 3 transactions where I was the one that did the exchanging. I was the one that's like, here's the item. What do you think? Actually, I don't think I said, what do you think on any of the things. I just said, hey, here's the item. There you go. I helped somebody put a very heavy credenza on top of a compact car. I'm not kidding. That happened. It was strange, but I guess it worked. I mean, he didn't come back and say, can I have my money back? he was spending a long time putting it on top or trying to fasten it onto his car, and I kept being like, do you want me to help you? Or it's like, nah. He kept saying like, no, I got it. And I'm like, okay, well, if you need my help, I'll be inside, knock on the door, I'll come out and I'll help you right away. Which was a little bit weird for me to say that. I was trying to bail for sure because I didn't want to just stand there and stare at him awkwardly for like 10, 15 minutes. I don't know how long he was working on it. It took him a while, but he did it. He got out of there. I watched his car leave and I was very worried, but it seemed fine. It seemed secure. So I hope everything went okay with him. But yeah, it was just weird for me to be like, if you need any help, knock on the door. And what if the help that he needed was this thing is about to fall on me right now? I can't go to the door to knock. It's like what a I can't help him. I can't help him. No, not at that moment. That was one transaction. Another transaction. There's a couple people that came for like I don't know what it was, a bench or something. Did a Venmo transaction. First time I ever did one. So not bad. I learned how to use Venmo. The other people just paid with cash. Like there was somebody that came the next morning after those two transactions. And this one I did all on my own. I didn't need somebody shadowing me or anything. Like I had a little bit of help with the first one. Pretty much no help with the second one, but I had someone in the house that was looking at me doing it, so I was like, whatever. Third one was all me. I had no help whatsoever. And it went quick. It went so quick. I open up that garage door. They come on in. They look at it. They hand me the money. They pick it up. They get out of there. We barely say more than 5 total words to each other. And it was fast. And it felt good. Not because I didn't talk, but because that was my third transaction. And I'm like, I could do more of these. Whether there's talking or not much talking involved, I could do more of these. Maybe all of that crap that I went through that Sunday night helped me a little bit with those transactions. Know what I mean? Because I took a big step. I took a very big, bold step, which was I'm going to take an Uber to a place that I have never been to before, where there's going to be like 60 other people there, all there for the same reason. Where a big chunk of the reason that people are there is to talk to each other. I am throwing myself into the lion's den because I want to learn to fight my way out. And while I didn't really, I at least kind of got a better gauge of my social battery, a better gauge of things I can force myself to do when I need to do them. So I'm going to take that from the very weird, very uncomfortable, very strange Sunday book club thing that I did. Is there was some good that came out of it. Yes, it was uncomfortable, but every one of these group things that I've done in person has been uncomfortable. And I'm going to be honest, this might have been the least uncomfortable. So maybe I'm actually getting better at this than I thought. I don't know. I know there's a couple other ones I want to go to. One that actually takes place next week that I am extremely terrified of, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it. But part of me really wants to do it because it's something I've never done before. And I might talk about that next episode. We shall see. But until then, hey, I did it. I segued into my normal transition smoothly this time. Anyway, until next time, once again, my name is Jay. Thank you to anybody and everybody that listened to this. You are incredible just for stumbling upon. You are incredible for just making it all the way to this point, honestly. Over an hour long. We're at like an hour 15 about at this point. This is insane. This went way longer than it should have. and it wasn't even very in depth. There have been in depth episodes that I put up, or somewhat in depth episodes that I put up, that were like 30 minutes long. Like, I feel like one of the hypnotherapy ones I did and the one about my dad that were about 30 minutes long, those were pretty in depth. Yes, they were edited down, and I'm sure if I edited this one down, it would be probably 20 minutes, honestly. But I don't want to edit this down. This is just going to be what it is. Heck, sometimes I love hour-long podcasts, listening to them, that are just rambling about nothing. It's all about just having that voice there that's comfortable. And that's enough. Who cares what the podcast is about? It's just nice having that voice. And now I'm going to fully wrap it up here and say, okay, I kind of lost the ending there a little bit. I got excited that I was able to segue into it, and then I just forgot how to end this. I remember how to end it, but let me just say a couple of things real quick before I end it. I'm going to stick. Oh my god, it is getting really close to midnight, so I really have to wrap this up so I can upload this on a Thursday. I do plan on doing one next Thursday and Thursday after that, and New Year's Eve. That is still going to go according to planned. Planned? Did I put a D in there? It's going to go according to plan. I'm going to stick to it. I really, really am. Because I want to. Because I actually did one this Thursday, and I didn't think I would, and I did. And I really want to get this done and upload this before midnight, so I'm just going to say the thing that I always say at the end of every one of these episodes. Bye for now.